out of control, how a Democratic congressman accused Trump of reckless leadership that is putting American troops in danger. Imagine this scene, one that captures Congress's growing loss of confidence in President Trump's handling of the war. Last Tuesday, during a House Armed Services Committee hearing, Democratic Congressman Jason Crow, a former U.S. Army Ranger who served combat tours in Afghanistan, turned his criticism not toward Iran, but toward his own commander-in-chief. Crow delivered a blunt warning. The president is reckless and out of control, managing a military conflict and a naval blockade in a critical region like the Strait of Hormuz without a clear strategy puts American service members stationed across the region in unnecessary and unacceptable danger. These were not ordinary unpolitical attacks. They were direct accusations from a former combat officer arguing that the president was risking American lives without a coherent plan. Then came another stunning revelation. During now the same hearing, Democratic Representative Madeleine Dean disclosed that members of Trump's team had allegedly tried to cut off her microphone to prevent her from questioning Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff about the administration's battlefield setbacks. Today, we tell the story of this new rebellion inside Congress, how lawmakers increasingly describe Trump's Iran strategy as out of control, why they believe American troops are paying the price, and how accusations of administrative interference have fueled claims that the White House is growing increasingly defensive. Come with me. During the committee hearing, Congressman Jason Crow left little doubt about his assessment of the administration. The president is reckless and out of control. Crow pointed to what he described as a series of improvised decisions, issuing military threats through Truth Social instead of formal diplomatic channels, constantly changing military objectives without consulting commanders on the ground, negotiating while simultaneously conducting airstrikes, a strategy, Crow argued, only increases the danger facing American troops. As a former combat soldier, I understand what happens when military operations are conducted without a clear strategic objective. We're asking American men and women to risk their lives while the mission itself changes from one day to the next. He continued, the naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, the air campaign, the repeated threats, those are all legitimate tools of national power, but they require a coherent strategy. What we're witnessing instead is a series of reactions to events, not a comprehensive plan. Perhaps the most dramatic moment came from Representative Madeleine Dean addressing the committee. Dean claimed, members of President Trump's team attempted to cut off my microphone to prevent me from questioning Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff about the administration's battlefield failures, she added. This wasn't simply an attempt to silence one Democratic member. It was an attempt to prevent Congress from carrying out its constitutional responsibility of overseeing the executive branch. Dean described the incident as a serious violation of constitutional norms. She warned that the administration appeared determined to conceal the reality that Tehran continued to retain significant military leverage despite White House claims of success. Political observers argued that the episode reflected growing anxiety inside the administration. Officials understand the war has failed to meet many of its original objectives. They recognize the memorandum of understanding remains fragile. They know renewed escalation risks sending the conflict back to square one, yet few appear willing to acknowledge those realities publicly. Congressman Crow didn't stop at calling the president reckless. He also challenged Trump's signature strategy of what the administration has described as negotiating through strength. Crow argued that the administration's much publicized memorandum of understanding had effectively begun unraveling almost immediately under renewed military pressure. He pointed to additional U.S. Central Command strikes following attacks against commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. According to Crow, those operations demonstrated that the agreement had failed to deter further escalation. Instead, the cycle simply continued. President Trump argued that bombing would force our adversaries back to the negotiating table, but what actually happened was the opposite. Iran continued its attacks. The United States responded again. That isn't a successful strategy. It's a dangerous cycle. He warned that the greatest fear inside inside Congress is gradual escalation, a crisis that slowly grows until the United States finds itself trapped in a full-scale regional war that nobody intended and nobody knows how to end. The concerns raised during the hearing extended beyond military strategy. Lawmakers also focused on the economic consequences. Renewed attacks on commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz immediately pushed global oil prices higher. That renewed pressure threatens another wave of inflation inside the United States. Crow reminded lawmakers, Americans are paying for this war every single day at the gas pump. Every new escalation pushes prices higher, and every increase places another burden on working families. He also noted that the 2026 midterm elections are rapidly approaching. Republicans, like Democrats, understand voters will judge them if fuel prices continue climbing. Crow concluded with a warning. If this escalation continues, the costs won't remain purely military. They'll become economic, and American voters will remember that. In November, at the close keying of the hearing, Crow emphasized that Congress would not remain on the sidelines. We have a constitutional responsibility to oversee the executive branch. Passing the War Powers Resolution was an essential constitutional step toward bringing the president back within the legal framework. He continued, no president has the authority to drag the United States into a broad regional war without congressional authorization. That message has now been delivered clearly, and Congress intends to use every constitutional tool available to prevent unilateral decisions that could pull America into another unpredictable conflict. Let us summarize what we have learned today. Congressman Jason Crow described President Trump's approach as reckless and out of control, arguing that American troops are being placed in unnecessary danger without a clear strategic plan. Representative Madeleine Dean alleged that members of the administration attempted to silence congressional oversight during a key hearing. The fragile memorandum of understanding quickly came under pressure as military exchanges resumed across the Gulf. Oil prices climbed once again, reviving fears of inflation and increasing political pressure ahead of the 2026 elections. And Congress signaled that it intends to exercise its constitutional authority more aggressively in challenging future military decisions. The final question, will President Trump change course after these warnings, or will he continue ignoring Congress while exposing American troops to greater risks? One thing appears increasingly clear. The struggle between the White House and Congress is far from over, and the next chapter of this confrontation could prove even more dangerous than the last. Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to receive all our new videos. See you in the next video.